he starts to rise up, and he gets to a place where the boss actually kicks everyone else out of the meeting. And then this one guy, he's like, hey, you stay back.
What if somebody told you you have 5 years left to live?
Stop being a child and put away your darn phone. If your life sucks, think about the time you got rid of all media and how you became a machine.
There are things in your life that you cannot control.
I know this is going to happen, so I'm going to move forward.
I'm believing God to heal me. But if you don't heal me, I do have a Tylenol right here.
They think they have to have so much sin to open up that door.
Wow.
What's letting go?
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Elijah's Leadership Podcast. Super excited for today's episode. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful day today. On this day, whichever day it is, it's sunny outside. I'm super stoked and super happy. Also, because we have a good friend back. I think this is your second time now? Third time. Mm-hmm. Let's go. Paul Lavrentiev, all the way from, I'll just say Seattle, Washington, not to butcher the city. And Paul's been teaching this week. He's married. He's here with his wife and his son, and one more on the way.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Welcome back, bro.
Dude, it's good to be back.
Yeah,
I always love it. I even remember our last conversations. I mean, the first one was, we talked about the rise and fall of Mars Hill, and then we talked about pride and the fall of pride within mankind. Those were great conversations.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to today. Today's conversation is going to be a little bit different than what I typically ever do. And today we're going to talk about a book, and unfortunately it's not the Bible, but we will incorporate the Bible. Mm-hmm. But we were going through some of the best leadership books that we've read through the years, and we stopped on this one briefly just to talk about it, and then we realized, this book is so good. So I just hope that after we go through some of this content that you'll be inspired to pick it up.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be so good. The book is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you know, you know. It's like the best leadership book out there.
Literally.
I think for the longest time, I felt like that book was like one of those other books, but when you actually read it, you're like, whoa, this is so good. Mm-hmm. This is so good.
You see it like on the top 10 of all time bestseller books.
Yeah.
Right next to like How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that's also a really good, like, helpful book.
Yeah.
Honestly, even some Christians need to read that because some Christians could be rude. but
I think some people are wired a little bit differently when it comes to relationships with people.
Yeah.
I think some people naturally view things as, I don't want to say like objective, I guess, or they view people as kind of like their means to whatever goal they're getting, versus other people are people focused.
Yeah.
But Jesus was always people focused.
Yeah.
So
I also think I really like, I think often about in Mere Christianity to C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
He says that Christianity is like toothpaste. Some people have dirtier teeth, but their teeth are still getting cleaner. And some people have whiter teeth. They just grew up where they grew up, the background, the family they grew up with. Like, they just have whiter teeth, but their teeth are still getting cleaner. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't work when people are rude. They're becoming incrementally nicer. Hallelujah.
Well, that's the goal, I guess. That's the hope, I guess, if that's the way to put it. So we don't have too much time. You're going to be teaching here soon, and I don't want to put the pressure on our conversations, but we're going to go ahead and jump into this book. So if you have the opportunity to read it, to listen to it, if you're in any leadership capacity, I'll say more. If you want to be a better person, if you want to influence your family, if you want to be more effective, be proactive, be more intentional, get the results that you want. It is kind of like a self-help book, but it's not really like a self-help book because it gives you the principles that people technically should live by already. And sometimes it's a great reminder and keeps us on track.
Yeah, I like his intro. He says, I'm not some kind of genius that came up with these points. These points are just self-evident, like, facts of life that I'm just trying to give structure to help you kind of realize that they're there,
Yeah. So. Steve Covey. So did you know this? This fun fact before we jump in. is that his father was shepherding sheep in Wyoming.
No clue. I didn't know that.
And as he was going through some patch, whatever, and he got caught in a storm. And so he was in the shelter. It was like the winter storm in Wyoming. It's pretty windy. It was a pretty terrible place. And he thought he was going to die. He's like, there's no way we're surviving this with these sheep and all that. And he had a prayer. He's like, God, if you save me on this place, I will build some refugee like a hotel or refugee hotspot for people. Like, they'll be traveling, they have a place to stay and to rest. And so he survives. Big shocker. But he builds in that place? Ever heard of Little America?
I've heard. I know the name, but
yes,
yeah.
Little America is like, if you travel a lot, especially if you're driving, Little America is like this massive little town in the middle of Wyoming, in the middle of nowhere. It's like this huge hotel. It's got like a bunch of shops. It's like literally, it's got Little America. It's like got all this stuff. And he's got this, he started with this hotel first, this big hotel that he built, and then all that stuff. And so, anyways, that's where we get that little town, Little America, which is like, if you look it up, I mean, it's like, it's the coolest thing when you're driving through. It's like you're in the middle of nowhere, and then you see this like bridge across the highway, like on top of it, it's like this, like a walking sky bridge, and you have like, welcome to Little America. It's got
I'm gonna have
all
to
this,
Google this.
dude. It's crazy stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so his dad built that, and I thought that was super unique because I was like, that's a cool story too, And so obviously these are it's a Christian author, and we'll just keep it at that. Anyway, so chapter 1, habit 1 is be proactive. Be proactive, and I think this is such an important I think it's such an important principle to start with, because I'll open it up and then you can jump in. It goes on like this: there are things in your life that you cannot control. The family you're born in, maybe some economical situation, some health issues, whatever. There are things in your life you cannot control. But then there are things that you can control. The biblical principle I get is surrender what you cannot do to God and take responsibility for your actions. That's like, for me, that's just like, it's such a powerful idea. So I guess just to jump into this, because I feel like we just live in a culture where people just complain all the time. They're just like this. What are your thoughts on this chapter?
No, I think it's really good. Your point, and specifically even about the complaining. He gives, I remember, a illustration where this company, there's a bunch of employees and there's a boss, and the boss is just like super hard on all the employees. Everybody talks smack about the boss. Everybody's complaining about the boss, and there's just this one employee who doesn't talk smack, doesn't focus on the circle. He breaks it down as the circle of concern versus the circle of influence, right? Yeah. Where the circle of concern is thinking and worrying about all the things that you can worry about. Like, my boss is never going to hire me. My boss is never going to promote me. My boss is a jerk, all this stuff. But instead, this one employee focuses on his circle of influence. And he's like, okay, what can I do? Instead of worrying about everything I can worry about, I'm going to think about what can I do. And he focuses on that, and he starts to rise up, and he gets to a place where the boss actually kicks everyone else out of the meeting. And then this one guy, he's like, hey, you stay back. I want you to look over some numbers or something, because he's just been a faithful employee, and he focuses on what he can do rather than on what is missing, kind of a thing. Yeah. And I'll let you go in, but I also remember, I think he talked about the football player. I think was it him? I can't remember. But every morning or somewhere, it might have even been Russell Wilson. Maybe it was not in the book, but Russell Wilson, every morning when he wakes up, the first thing he does is, in his mind, he draws a 3-foot circle around himself. And he says, this is the only things around me, that's the only thing I can control. If I focus on the things outside of this 3-foot circle, I'm just going to be like paralyzed. But I could focus on developing, myself for the glory of God. I could focus on what I need to do for God. I could focus on how I can serve other people rather than how can other people serve me. How can I make my way up the ladder in church or some kind of selfish ambition? So, yeah.
That's so good. Well, I'm just thinking of like, as Christians or even as leaders, like we need to kind of mature in this and be like, okay, these are the things that I can actually put my hands on. And the story obviously that comes to mind right away is Joseph.
Yeah.
It's like the right response is what God is really looking for.
Can you take him through how is Joseph focused on like being proactive in the circle of influence rather than the circle of concern?
And so Joseph is ultimately chosen by God. If you look at the picture, he's chosen by God to fulfill the promise that that God has given to Abraham, and that is to grow his people, make this from a great nation. So Joseph goes, born into a family. He's ultimately favored by his father because he is the first son of his favorite wife, Rachel, right? So he didn't choose this. He's born into a family. He's got brothers, from different mothers, same father, right? His father gives him the cloak. So he's not choosing these things that happen to him. It's not his responsibility that his dad likes him. Like, what's he supposed to do about that? It's not his choice that God gave him a dream that his sons or his brothers are gonna be worshiping him, quote unquote, for their interpretation. It's not in his control that his brothers are jealous of him. And it's not in his control that they sell him to slavery. Right? It's not in his control that even while he's being, still faithfully, by the way, serving God. So this is what I want to keep underlining, is that his response to those things is saying, look, I fear God still. I don't know what God is doing. But I know that one thing I can control is my response. And my response is, I'll worship God.
That's good.
I'll worship God.
That's really good, yeah.
And then you see that throughout his whole life.
Yeah.
And so even to the point where he's, already thriving and everything's doing good, which then when his brothers come, he's like, look, I can't control that. Yeah. But by then you look back and you're like, okay, God's life is already on him. He already sees that more. Yeah. He's like, whatever, like I'm not going to do anything to you guys. I fear God. That's what he says, because in his mind, all the line that goes all the way through his life is, I can't control what happens to me, but I can control my response to it. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll argue to say that is what's more important to us in our life, and that's what God looks at more than anything else. And I think Chuck Swindoll said it, last thing he said, life is 90% of, or 10% of what happens to you, and 90% how you respond to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also like, I'm going to submit to the voice of the Holy Spirit in whatever season, no matter. Joseph became a slave. And I actually have this funny image, right, from Prince of Egypt. Is that no, that's not that's not Joseph. That's Joseph, King of Dreams.
King of Dreams,
yeah. When he becomes a slave, he one of the first things he does is starts wiping the floor. And he could focus on the fact that his brothers sold him and become bittered, and like you see people that they just let bitterness enter their soul and they just let it disable them, and everyone else is at fault. And like, dude, I'm such a firm believer that I'll tell everyone that's listening to this, if you have a problem in every single one of your relationships, it's not the other people, it's you. Like, it's if every single, you know what I'm talking about? When someone has relationships, and every single one of the relationships that they ever have, the other person is at fault. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never your own. And if you're saying it's somebody else always, honestly, take a look in the mirror. It's probably your own heart. You probably got bitterness in your own heart, unforgiveness in your own heart, a lack of responsibility, a lack of ownership. And instead of doing that and blaming everybody and even being mad at his slave master, he's like, I'm using the illustration from the cartoon, but he's like, I'm going to wipe this floor as the best wiper there ever was. And like in the scene, I remember like as a kid, the whole floor was sparkling. It was a nasty floor, and it was like sparkling. And someone comes up to him and is like, "Wow," because all he did is focus on, this is the only thing I can do, is what I'm doing. And if I focus on this instead of everything that concerns my life, focus on what I'm doing, and then slowly he starts to rise up. And then he goes to jail, and he's like, for a crime he didn't commit. Okay, now I'm going to focus on what I could do. I can help out here in the jail. And then they rise him up to be the minister of the jail. Same, And so I think that that's awesome,
It's like it must be so frustrating to, like, let's say you arrest somebody and then you try to beat them and all that stuff, and they're still happy.
Yeah.
And they're like, stop being happy, because that's the one thing that people can't take away from you.
Yeah.
Is the attitude inside. I'm just thinking about Paul and Silas in prison.
Yeah.
They're in prison. They're beat. They're just worshiping.
Yeah. I'm going to make you clean the toilets. Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to be the best toilet. Like, they're trying to, like, bully him, or
Oh,
something,
my goodness.
And
I'm thinking about
like,
that video of those two guys. What's that video on? Man, I forget those two black guys that would do the...
Key and Peele?
Yeah. There's the one about, like, them, like, in prison. Have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
That one's so funny. They're like in prison. The guy's like hanging, one arm's chopped off, the other guy's hanging in prison. Have you seen that video? Dude, this is so funny. Somebody just showed it to me. The quote on it said, "This is the optimism that Christians ought to have." And it's like Kane Peele, whatever the guys, they're sitting there. They're all beat up. One guy's like missing a limb. The guys are hanging out, and this is their conversation. It's not that bad. He's like, I'm here sitting with my friend. We're having a great time, It's just like, we're still conversating, It's anyways, I'll show it to you after. But it's just so funny because, that's what you can't take away from somebody, and that's actually freedom, And I feel like
the attitude,
exactly, right? That's how it is. And so, man, time's flying by, bro. We got 15 minutes left.
Yeah, I'll say one more thing about that story I was telling you about. The circle of concern versus the circle of influence, and also being proactive, right? The idea is not to be just reactive, not just to let life pass you by, but to live life intentionally, my older brother read this book and long time ago, and he instilled this into me. I think 2017. And one of the things is I had a ton of stuff I needed to vent to my dad. And I'm telling my eldest brother about this, and he's like, Paul, like, hold up. Like, are you just going to go into this meeting and just like, just let everything out? Well, like, what do you hope to get out of that? How do you think dad's going to respond? He's going to respond with, like, if you come in with a frame and they're just like, wah, 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 he's going to be like, not receive what you have to say. You're not going to get any effective results. You're focusing on the circle of all the things you're concerned about, but not on what you can control. So focus on what you can control and think about, before you go into this meeting, think about the result you want from this meeting. Not just venting everything, but the result you want from this meeting, and then make several bullet points of how you're going to get through, and maybe even mentally have a conversation with dad before you go into that meeting. And that, since 2017, that's a long time, has almost every time I've ever had to have a hard meeting, I'll sit down and I'll take a piece of paper and I'll think, what are the bullet points? And that has been very, 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 like, helpful. I think one of the best pieces of life advice I've ever gotten.
Bro, that's so good.
But I honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even think I had that conversation with my dad. But the advice stuck.
You had it in your mind and you're like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Because your reaction, I mean, how many times do you react to something and you're like, oh, dang it, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I should have thought about it. But that controls you. Mm-hmm. Your reactions, that's what binds you. So if you're free from that, and you're like, you know what? I'm not gonna let this person steal my peace. I'm gonna stay focused on what's important. I'm gonna figure out what I can respond to. I mean, that's so powerful. I remember this, dude. I'm telling you, when I was 16 years old, just got my first car, picking up my first girlfriend. I know, whatever. And I was like texting her to come out. This is way too much information, but whatever. Texting her to come out, bro. I crashed my car into a parked truck in the neighborhood. I mean, it was this is years ago. Toyota Corolla, straight from the auction.
Bro, that's my first car too, baby.
You know, the whole thing. And it just went underneath the truck, a Ford F-150 that was lifted. And I was like, dang it. I'm like, screwed, you know. This, you know, they run out, some Slavics. They're like, oh, what's going on? I got to call the cops. And I only have my permit. They didn't have my license yet. And I'm like, no, I have my permit, you know, blah, blah. They're like, all right. I'm like, because I'm panicking a little bit. And they're like, all right, here's our number. Just buy us a new bumper. And the whole part that was smashed. He's like, just buy us like a couple $100. And we'll call it good.
Wow.
I'm like, all right. Boom. I just go home, forget about him. Ignore them as a typical 16-year-old kid.
You never.
You know, a month later, I get sued by them.
Oh.
Yeah. They want a couple grand, you know. They want a whole piece replaced.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Anyways, my whole point was just like, so I spent the whole summer working that off. I'm like, so dumb, you know. Small little response, you know, right response at the right time. Do what you could have done. Like, you made a mistake, take responsibility. Because if you don't, now instead of a couple $100, you're paying a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's how people live their life. And so the real question is, don't react to life. Just be proactive. Take the first steps. Think about it. Like, you know what? No, this is the direction that I'm going to. So ask yourself, are there things that control you? Are there emotions that control you? You know, are there things that rule over you? And I think that's where the prayer has to happen. And saying, okay, God, give me the grace. Because I guess we didn't talk about this, but what should you focus on control? What should you? The first thing is your attitude and your response. We talked about that. The second thing is you can control your habits. The whole book is about like certain habits, but your habits are the things that shape you. We know that. So what you do every day is basically who you are. What you do consistently every day is who you are. And so if you say you want to be healthier, then you can control what you're eating as a habit. You can control your exercise as a habit.
Instead of worrying about, I'm worrying about all whatever calories and macros, just do it.
Yeah, there's stuff you can do.
Yeah, focus on, you know.
Dude, so good. Love it so much.
Because you get paralyzed when you focus on the things you could be concerned about. But if you focus on what you can actually do, what's in your control, you get activated, you know. Holy Spirit, activate. I'm not one of those.
No activations today at the end of a podcast.
Bro.
So I'm going chapter 2.
Yeah.
And we're not even doing justice, maybe talking about all the details, but read the book. It's going to be good for you. Chapter 2 might be all that we have time to get to today. And that is to begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. And I've been trying to drill this to our staff. I've been trying to drill this to myself. What do you want at the end of semester for these students? What do you want at the end of this year for your life? Yeah. The ultimate question is, imagine you're walking into the funeral. Everybody's super sad, somber. Everybody's, you know, and then as you make your way to the sanctuary, you make your way to the front, you realize that it's your funeral. And you're about to sit down and watch people talk about you. And I'm telling you, there is nothing more sobering than thinking about death. And if you have loved ones that passed away recently, if you, at least personally for me, if you had people who were close to you, people you knew, there's something sobering about that puts you right into like your perspective and focuses you in. So what if somebody told you you have 5 years left to live? You'd be like, bro, like, or let's say 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to do with 3 years of your life? I mean, 1 year's kind of too short.
You know what the answer should be? The answer should always be exactly what I'm doing. And if it's not exactly what I'm doing, you need to change what you're doing. Like, because, like, if I knew I want to be living in such a state of congruence with the Holy Spirit, that I know I'm doing exactly what I need to do. Because you think, I have 5 years left to live, 3 years left to live. Okay, I'm going to go sell everything, become a missionary. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. But that just goes to show that whatever you're doing now is not the will of God for your life, right? And if you're already in the will of God, your answer would be, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's good.
And you should have peace and confidence in that. And that is I think you phrased it. I think that's such a good. It really is such a sobering thing because I'm sitting over here. I'm thinking. I'm like rethinking my life. I'm rethinking work. You know,
like what am I doing with my life?
You know.
Yeah, it's a powerful thought because I think he uses this illustration of like, imagine working so hard, climbing that ladder, and you get to the top, finally to that ladder, and then you're like, oh, dang it. The ladder was leading up against the wrong wall.
Yeah.
And you're like, dang it. Like, and that's the challenge for myself today because in ministry, in the church life, I'm at that age, we're at that age where it's like, hey, it matters to what we invest our life into. For the next 10 years, what we invest into is going to shape our future.
Yeah.
It's going to shape it's going to be who we are. So I don't want to build up a church. I don't want to build up a ministry. I don't want to be even part of a church that in 5 years I'm like, I'm leaving because I don't agree of the division and the direction of it. And I know that now because I don't agree with it now, but I'm still building it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so for me, that's been one of those things that I've been really thinking about. Like, how do you keep that end in mind? Like, what's the, you know, like, what are you working towards?
Yeah.
You know, so
I also, I mean, so for the listeners, you know, one of the things he really focuses on in this chapter, he opens up with what Ilya was saying of like the funeral, right? Then he starts breaking it down and like, how do you actually practically apply this to your life to think about the end of your life? And I honestly wish so desperately that when I was a teenager, somebody brought this chapter into my life because when I was in my early 20s, I lost my faith. And so I had all my principles. I mean, if God doesn't exist, why should you do anything in life? Like, what's the point to anything? Like, I'm the type of person that I'm either all in or I'm all out, you know? And I'm like, well, if God's not doesn't exist, I'm all out, like, you know? And I think that if like someone told me, hey, you need, whether or not you believe in God, you should still strive to live your life based off of principles and values.
Yeah.
And that will, I think that it could have even, if as a young man, someone enforced those principles and values, first of all, I might not have even gone off track into the lifestyle that I started to live that led me away from faith. But then if I went away, I probably wouldn't have done some of the ridiculous things that I did. And then I probably would have course corrected even sooner or faster in my life. And so one of the things that like I always think about is in that season of my life, the hardest thing was to figure out my identity. Because I had an existential crisis and I didn't know what I stood for. I didn't know what I believed. I remember I wrote down my testimony and I wrote one of the things is I was really nice but kind in a fake way. And I had no backbone for truth. Like I could never actually, I was one of the nice guys, but not a good man. Like because I had
there's
nothing.
no values and principles.
I had nothing I had nothing to live for and I had nothing to die for either, you know? And I think like the book, he tells you like whatever you do, just take a piece of paper or your phone notes and just start writing like what kind of person do you want to be in life? What are the things you value in life? And they could change every couple of years. And I remember in 2017, actually like right when I think it's right after missionary school, right during missionary school when I was a student, I started to do this and I wrote a fat list. I started off with 10 points. Like, I want to do this. 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 And I was like, and then it grew to 150. And then every couple of years I restarted it and then it grew to 150. Now I have like 70 for my life, 70 for my marriage, and like 30 for me being a father to my son, you know? And on the first of every month, I read these values and these principles and I remind myself who I am. And now I know who I am to my core because I've repeated rinse, wash,
So let me
repeat.
ask you a challenging question. Do you have that mission statement for your life? have you hone it down to say, in my life, like this is, every organization has the values, they have the principles. We have like a mission statement that's like kind of long. We're rewriting at the school right now because we redid the values. And then based on those values, you want to summarize them smaller and then make a statement. Like, this is my mission statement. This is who we are. Or as a family, right? The Lavrentievs. This is who we are. Because I'm working on that too, because I want my kids to know, like, hey, if you belong to this family, this is who you are. This is the mission statement for my family. And that takes a lot of hard work, deep thinking.
What's your ultimate chief end kind of thing?
Yeah, but well, you just say, this is the purpose of my life. Like, I'm here on earth to do this thing. Some people, maybe it's for ministry, maybe it's for building, maybe it's for counseling, whatever. I mean, I don't know, but it's just like, as a person, because there are values that are of character, integrity, and things like that are like super important. There are values, that we have, like I love hospitality. So one of the values that I have for my life too, because we want to have an open house for everybody all the time. For example, I'm just throwing ideas out, and I'm not there yet, so I've been thinking about this, like. We have a mission statement for the school, and we take a lot of time to think about it, like who we are, who am I? And I think that's what people avoid. They don't want to think about it because it takes time to get off your phone, stop numbing yourself, and do a little bit of self-reflection and think about your life and be like, okay, how do I keep honing in it? And then, and summarize it. Be like, what? This is the guiding principle in my life. I'm making decisions, and this is my mission statement. So when somebody calls me and says, hey, let's go, Hillsong wants you to do a worship set with them. I don't sing. That's not necessarily a value, but I just know that's not what I do. So I'm not going to say no because I know who I am.
I'd still love to see that.
Well, my point is that, like, even now, that's my issue. My issue is I say yes. I don't know if it's this chapter that has the 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
Is it this one?
No, it's the next one.
It's the next one. Okay. We won't get to that, but you should get to it.
First
Read
things
the book.
first.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And
we can summarize it at least really quickly.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah.
But because the idea is this, everything in life is created twice. It's first created in your mind or first created on a piece of paper, and then it's actualized in real life. And so if you are, for the first not even thinking about it and doing it, you're actually living out somebody else's reality. Somebody else has to think about it first, and you're filling in the shoes for it because you're just going with the flow. But the idea is that with this chapter, it's first created once in your mind or on a piece of paper, and then it's created in real life. And that's how life works. That's what That's why we have the power.
What are some of, like? I actually really like the summary. I think I've done it before, but I don't think I have a current summary. I just kind of like I reevaluate it so often that I really like that actually. The main one-liner summary.
Not even one-liner. Give it like 4 lines.
Yeah, it could be
Summarize
a
it.
sentence. Yeah, like the main title.
Because most organizations have that. They'll say like, this is our vision statement, which is the one-liner typically, and then the mission statement is like this is what we're gonna do. This is the goal, but this is kind of how this is our mission. This is what we're doing. I could pull up the GC stuff because it's like.
How about you in your personal life? Do you have like what are some of your values or your principles or?
So right now, like, obviously you have the character stuff, the integrity. So this is the way that I typically try to break it down. I'll try to look at my roles. Okay, I'm a husband. Okay, I'm a father, a pastor, ministry leader, and then once I get those down, I'm like, okay, as a father, what do I want to be? You want to be present. You want to be involved. As a husband, you want to be, So I mean, I don't have it on top of my head, but that's typically what I try to do. Like, hey, this is, and when I sit down with my wife and we have these conversations, it's like, hey, in our family life, what do we want? Yeah. Like in our financial life, what do we want? As a relationships, and that's in the family. Like I want my house. I said hospitality is a big one for me.
Yeah,
hard work is a big one for me too because it's just like it's how we grew up. It's a way to do things. The respect and honor for my kids, and I tell my kids, hey, Rose, you're Rose Star Rivera. You cannot be doing this. This is not who you are.
Full name, bro.
So you just let them have it, right? Because it has to keep instilling. They need to know, hey, I can't do that. Yeah. Not because like it's who I am. Because your identity ultimately is the most important thing, right? Your identity. And ultimately, as I'm listening to all this, I begin to realize this. A lot of people, they want vision, and vision seems so abstract.
Mm-hmm.
But vision really comes down to living with intention today.
Yeah.
Plan it out. Think about what you want, and it's that simple. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ones. So, but in every category, you want to kind of write those things down.
I think a good way for the hearers to understand this is, at least for me, what I've really done is you should look at it as writing your own book of Proverbs. And then a new chapter for each role and category in your life.
I like that.
So you can have a chapter of me personally. What kind of person in my core do I want to be? And then whether it's finances, and then in my marriage, okay, what kind of person do I want to be in my marriage? What kind of person do I want to be in my family, with my church, with my friends? Or you can have them kind of like, the Proverbs that we read, there's a lot of repetition. There's no real order or structure. But Apostle Paul, King Solomon, right? He wrote his own Proverbs. He's like thinking like, what are some wise things that I want to live my life based off? Some kind of like advices or things that I have. Like, I just want to read off a few, if I could, of just off my own, right?
So our time is running, but please, we gotta hear this.
I have 82 for personal. And then I have 75 for my marriage, and I have 43 for being a father. And it's just literally one-liner Proverbs that I think of, like, for my personal one, right? No specific order to any of them, right? I just started writing one by one, and then I would just plug in, right? So one of them is, number one is channel the Holy Spirit. All day let him lead and guide you, and stay connected with him in your spirit, in your heart. Meditate on him and pray with him in your heart. Okay, that's simple, right? Another one is when you're born, you look like your parents. When you die, you look like your decisions.
Ooh, so good.
Be a doer and not only a thinker, right? Be aware of the shiny object syndrome. When you're doing something consistently and something comes up, you want to do this new thing, but it's just because it's new, right? And so it's a ton of
the new phone?
A ton of like random advices that I've taken to me personally, and I'm like, dude, I want to remember that. I want to be that kind of person, right? I have like ones that, right, towards the end for my personal one, I have discipline, go to sleep early, say it to yourself 10 times, right? Build it one decision at a time. It's only one decision away. Stop being a child and put away your darn phone. If your life sucks, think about the time you got rid of all media and how you became a machine. Be responsible, work hard, don't sloth. Don't slack, have non-reactivity, don't complain, think win-win, be put together, not scattered, solid. Consider your judgment on others and things. Don't let your minds just like rampantly go into judging others, right? And then I notice like one of my flaws is when I'm telling someone a story, I'll editorialize or I'll qualify. So, and I don't like that because I realize it's an insecurity of myself. I want to kind of juice up the story rather than just telling it. And so I tell myself, don't editorialize or qualify or speak with a sub-narrative. Tell it like it is. Don't over-repeat. People are smart enough to get it the first time. Don't overcompensate. So it's almost like this mirror of seeing my own flaws, seeing the things that I want to, and then the things that I value, right? Like don't gossip, don't flatter, don't cuss, So, yeah.
So good. It's so good because if the first chapter that we just talked about is, we were talking about keep being proactive, right? Then the second chapter, we're kind of ultimately underlining, basically saying you have the control. Second chapter is saying, hey, you need to have a vision. The third chapter really says, this is how you should execute it now. Because if you know what you want, if you know who you want to be, this is my biggest issue. I have a hard time saying no to invites, weddings. And somebody listening to this podcast, I'm going to have to cancel some weddings. I know it's super annoying. Somebody's like, look, you can't say yes to this wedding because clearly, boom, boom, and boom. And I'm like, dang it. I need to focus in.
Yeah.
Now I'm going back to school in the summertime and then back,
Oh
you know.
my gosh. Bro.
And I'm just like, dude, I have to say no to
You're like a
everything.
bulldozer, bro.
Say no to everything. Except for family, super important, ministries, work, basically, and my schooling. That I have to hone in on that.
Yeah.
Everything else. And my issue is this. I want to be a good preacher. Oh, I like to get invited to do weddings. Oh, I like to get invited to this event. This is so fun. I always wanted to do this, blah, blah, blah.
What do you get the most fulfillment out of in your life? Or you can name a couple things. Is it podcast, preaching?
So
Is
I
it
love
personal discipleship?
I love preaching.
Yeah.
I don't prepare like I should, but I still love preaching.
Yeah.
And if I get a message, like if I'm praying and like I get like a little revving, like I know this is a revelation from the Holy Spirit. Like I like this last Sunday, I was preaching on Romans 12, 1 and 2. And I've preached this text before, but somebody asked me to preach it. And I typically preach like this. I'll give you a quick example. Romans chapter 12, verse 1 says, in light of the mercies of God, present your life as a living sacrifice, right? And what that means is that basically saying, hey, because God showed mercy to you, then you need to give yourself as a living sacrifice. In other words, it's saying this, your revelation of who God is should determine your worship to God. And I would always, that was my first point. I'm reading it, and that's as I'm reading it, I'm praying in the morning before I'm preaching, God gives me revelation. Apostle Paul's saying, what he's pleading is that most people, they get born again and they're saved, and that's where they stop. And he's saying, don't stop. Keep growing, because if you stop, you'll be conformed to the world. But if you don't stop, then the internal transformation needs to happen every day. The metamorphosis needs to happen every day. And I'm like, dude, my whole message just changed. I'm talking about say yes. My message is say yes to God every day. Otherwise, you will miss the will of God, because it says, then you can discern what is the will of God. And my whole point was, if you stop saying yes to God, you will stray from the will of God. Changed my whole message. I'm like,
Wow.
I got so excited, and I'm just
So
like,
good.
I'm honing this down. As I'm preaching, this Sunday. And so I'm like, dude, I love it, because you're like, you just got, and I feel like God's giving me that. And I'm like, dude, I love it. I need to grow. And because ministry's like a baby, it grows inside of you, right? I didn't think I was going to be preaching 5 years ago, but now I'm preaching more because it grows inside of you as you grow. So I love that. I think it's the only thing I love. Just kidding. But anyways, we have no time, bro. You start class in 10 minutes.
Just to summarize, Quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 in the book, what's that? First things first, or begin with the end in mind?
No, the first is that's the second thing. This is the chapter 3 is do the hard things first, or
What's the title?
the title of the chapter.
Yeah, I think it's begin with the end in mind, or first things first. It's one of those. I can't remember.
The oh my goodness,
I can
where is
find it.
Yeah. So chapter 3 is chapter 2 is begin with the end in mind. Chapter 3
put
is
first things first,
yeah.
and that focuses on Quadrant 2. He gives like a scale. You can look it up.
It's the time management scale. The Matrix tells you it. Yeah.
But he says the most important things in your life that you need to focus on are the things that are not urgent but important. It's all the things that you don't have a deadline for, that you say, I'm going to do that eventually. I'm going to do that. I'm going to record that. I'm going to go preach that. I'm going to go do the gym. I'm going to start eating healthy. I'm going to start praying. All of those things are not urgent, but they're very important. But if you focus on the things that are important and urgent, it's like work, emails, texts.
Yeah.
It's never going to end,
Steals from
right?
you.
But the things that actually grow your life are important but not urgent.
Bro,
So,
we live in a culture where being busy is a flex.
yeah.
I'm busy. I feel like 50 years
You're
ago.
not as busy as me, bro. Just kidding.
But
Actually, I think you're like 10x, bro. That's crazy.
No, but the flex is I'm busy. And especially you can't measure the metrics of your mind. Like, how do you measure somebody's actually producing work when they're not working with their hands? Like, you always got to be on. You always got to be blah, blah, blah. The flex 50 years ago, 100 years ago was, bro, I got 8 hours of leisure time today. I'm chilling today. That was like the flex. Now it's just like, I'm busy.
Wow.
I'm so busy. It's such an interesting world we live in. That's so good. I can't believe we did not have time to talk about the golden egg and the goose. Yeah. Oh, the PC.
Looks like you got to read the book.
Yeah, it's so good. Anyways, where can we find you online? And we'll let the people go.
Pavel.zeal on Instagram, and anything else I'll update on
I'll
there.
put it on the show notes too.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks for being with us. Love it. And don't forget to get that copy of the book.
Yeah. I have Bible only podcast, but I think I forgot to renew my subscription because I haven't posted in a while. So you might not be able to find it on Apple or Spotify. I'm not sure.
Well, we'll link it up anyways if you see it. Anyways, well, God bless you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and
Salute.
we'll talk to you guys until next time.